Transformational leadership is all about inspiring, creating, and empowering. When we're discussing this today, we're going to discuss its origins, characteristics, the four I's, how effective it is, and what barriers we might face. Then we're going to correlate that into my own personal leadership approach so that you can find a way to correlate it with yours. Transformational leadership. It's about empowering those that support them and their company. Now, what is its purpose? Well, its purpose is to transform others into leaders and supporters. Now, you could say, aren't followers and supporters the same thing? No. Followers follow the leader. Supporters support each other and lift each other up. And that's the difference. In transformative leadership is shown to be one of the most effective styles of doing this, especially when it comes to lack of disruption and an increase in next day work performance. So we're going to take all of this information and put it towards a personal development plan. Now, it got its origins in 1970 by James McGregor Burns. He believed that leaders and followers make each other advance to a higher level of moral and motivation. When he said that, I believe he meant is that you can lift each other up and in a positive way instead of using negative correlations in order to yield results, because that doesn't always yield the best results. Now, Bernard M. Bass, expanded upon Burns' idea that transformational leadership could be further defined by, he said, followers and feelings that are sent back to the leader. Now, what he meant was that you need to have a mutual respect for each other. That if followers are not inspired by the leader won't isn't going to be inspiring the followers. Bass also proposed that transformational leadership again should inspire followers to not only inspire but trust and respect the leader and each other. So as a whole, the entire group should have a mutual respect for communication for each other. Transformational leaders help followers grow and develop into leaders by responding to individual followers' needs, by empowering them, and by aligning the objectives and goals of the individual followers, the leader, the group, and the larger organization. This is something Bass said, and this fully encompasses many of the characteristics of transformational leadership. We have grow, develop, responding, empowering, aligning. All of these things are positive aspects that make up transformational leadership. Leaders motivate and cultivate those supporters and help supporters become leaders that will in turn make more leaders and better supporters. Transformational leadership recognizes that not everyone can be leaders or wants to be a leader. Some people are great supporters, so that facilitates that as well. That's about aligning the individual's goal with the group's and the company's overall objectives. And by doing that, we can give them a sense of loyalty and pride that comes from trusting a leader and a team and knowing that they have done a job together and they have done it well done. Now, building an esprit de corps. That means building a strong sense of honor, pride, and enthusiasm. And that can be felt by the entire group. That feeling of belonging, that spirit of sense of self and group togetherness is a powerful motivation. You get that with football teams. You get that with cheerleaders. You get that with a lot of Dungeons and Dragons groups, a lot of Pokemon, a lot of anime things. All of these, when you put them together, have a sense of pride and a sense of togetherness and group. And that is what that means. And that is a huge part of transformational leadership. Now, when we're talking about transformational leadership and characteristics, one thing that needs to be addressed is that it's not transactional. Transactional leadership implements the idea of punishment and rewards. If you don't do this, this will happen. Or if you do this, this will happen. So, for example, a real world example might be if you come into work um, late, you will get a penalty or will dock your pay. But if you come into work 15 minutes early, maybe you'll get Employee of the Month. That's transactional. Transactional leadership focuses solely on safety and psychological needs and not necessarily of the individual. It's more they focus on that of the group, and the transactions are individually based. Transformational focuses on the entire of Maslow's hierarchy of needs: self actualization, esteem, love and belonging, safety, and psychological needs. And that focuses on the group and the individual as a whole for the entire pyramid. The four I's encompass inspirational motivation, individualized consideration, intellectual stimulation, and idolized influence. These concepts make up what leaders practice and what allows them to become trailblazers and innovators into their own fields and to inspire others. When they put these concepts into practice, there is no stopping a transformational leader. Intellectual stimulation is probably one of the most important things for any leadership style. If you aren't stimulating your supporters or your followers properly, then you aren't going to yield any type of positive results. You should, a transformational leader never says, follow me with that question. They encourage you to ask the appropriate questions and to learn. They will challenge them and encourage them to think outside the box and to think critically. Not only will they utilize their own critical thinking skills, they will also turn to their other group members and create a learning environment as a whole. This creates a group intellect stimulation, not just for the individual. However, it is important to note that a transformational leader does consider not just the group, but they also value the individual as well. And because of this, the supporters trust their leader and their group. They're more likely to feel confident in sharing ideas that they may not have felt confident otherwise sharing. Maybe they're nervous or have some type of anxiety. A transformational leader can recognize and encourage that in that individual and say this individual needs maybe another minute or two to gather their thoughts, as to where this other individual can do improv in 2 seconds. And because of this, it helps the group work more cohesively together. Articulating a clear vision is at the top of inspirational motivation. If you have a difficult time articulating what you're saying, it can be difficult. Not only that, but your actions also need to match what you are articulating. A lot of times growing up, my dad would say, do as I say, not as I do. And it denoted a lack of confidence in things that he did. And particularly when it came to, you should never smoke cigarettes. But he did. And so that's just one example of it makes a person less confident in what goes on. A transformational leader has to inspire the followers to want to do their best. If they aren't at their best, how can they inspire the best in others? Being clear of purpose and upbeat can go a long way as well. it is difficult to sit through a lecture or any kind of motivational or any type of uh, thing that a manager or boss is trying to tell you if they have a monotone voice. It is important to try to be upbeat or have fluctuations in your tone. If not, it creates a very dry atmosphere and people tend to lose focus. And that does not inspire at all. Idolize influence. How to lead by example. This ties directly into inspiration. Do as I say, not as I do. Acting of others what they themselves are not willing to do. Their supporters may lose respect for that leader and no longer view them as a leader at all. And this is something that is very difficult when it happens because once you lose that, it's lost. Influence in a person often can begin with one's own actions, not words. A lot of times, a transformational leader will come about because of the actions that they've taken and they've gained respect from others. And others see that and they then themselves can take that and help others cultivate that as well. A study was done to see how effective transformational leadership actually is. 66 participants were taken and they were contrasting and comparing the strength use transformational leadership and personal initiative transformational leadership to next day engagement and performance. This graph shows transformational leadership only, the basic and next day work performance. And this is 7% or 0.07. Personal initiative yielded similar results. Strength use actually yielded the best results. Sometimes a little show of force may be necessary. That doesn't mean be aggressive. It means a little business firm. Business firm means it's business professional. You're just firm with it. A firm HR voice. Transformational leaders are very good at keeping calm and using strength and incentives when they need to. Barriers to this type of leadership style often, and then because you need to be, this leader needs to be upbeat, it can cause burnout, not only in the leader but the group. Especially if the leader starts feeling that sense of burnout, it can trickle down into the group. And it can potentially create a sense of loss of self within the group and make the group cohesion go away. Task completion can also be difficult. This also goes back to this next day work performance and next day work engagement. When we are talking about task completion, many times it can be easy to motivate someone to get started, but if it is a long drawn out task, it is very difficult sometimes to maintain that motivation. So different types of leadership styles might be needed, and it's important to recognize that. Disruptions to organizations can also happen. It can happen with your workforce, your finances, legal issues, or any unforeseen factors. It can happen with social trends, anything that is considered an outside factor or inside factor that can disrupt your organization. Effective leaders know how to facilitate, and not only do they know how to facilitate these, they know how to train others and help their supporters to facilitate these. They work with their supporters to find a solution that can curtail these disruptions and also predict future disruptions. Predicting future disruptions is a main key to transformational leaders. They are very aware of what is going on within their group and within their company. And they work within their group to help predict future disruptions and prevent them based on past events. When you are thinking about your personal leadership approach, when you have that role, it's important that you work with your team and that everyone has a voice. However, not everyone needs to be loud and talking over each other. A transformational leader is exceptional when it comes to rallying the followers and helping them not overstep each other. This is important when working in a group so that no things can get done in a timely manner and feelings don't get stepped on as well. Multitasking and organization are other key things that are on my personal leadership approach that correlate to transformational leadership style. Uh, Being organized and effective and multitasking comes easy for me. So, transformational leadership also comes easy for me as well. My personal development plan is about asking, do I do this? Should I do this? If I do this, why do I do this? And on the other side of that, why don't I do these things? Do I need to do these things? What purpose would they serve if I did do them? So these are questions that I take and I examine myself from a factual perspective. This helps me and will help you develop your own plan. It's important to ask yourself questions and answer yourself truthfully when you ask them. Don't sugarcoat things to yourself. This is about your development plan for yourself. And it's about my development plan for myself. And when I'm thinking about what I'm focusing on, when I answer those questions, I'm continuing to develop my organizational and networking skills. And I want to sharpen my multitasking skills and develop my teamwork skills. Because the areas of improvement that I need are communication. A lot of times I tend to want to hurry up and say what I want to before I forget it. And I will talk over someone not meaning to. I also have a hard time clearly articulating my ideas. I tend to want to speak very quickly, and then I fumble my words. Structure my thoughts in a more productive manner. For example, when I went to make my script for this, I did bullet points instead of doing full sentences. But I made sure that I structured each one to the correct slide. That way it was structured and I wouldn't lose my focus. Also, and this is a personal and professional point to my development plan, I need to work on my first internal reaction not being my first external reaction. A transformational leader is very good at staying calm and taking a breath and a beat before the reaction is visible or articulated. This is something that I would like to work on and that I am going to work on. I have a unfortunate habit of hearing something or getting hit with something and reacting to it off of my first internal reaction. And that is my biggest one. And that is something that I actually learned through the weekly assessments. I think that knowledge is power. You can't fix something if you don't know what it is you're fixing. And these assessments helped me learn that I was closer to transformational leadership style when I actually thought situational leadership was more desirable. But when I looked at situational leadership, it had less of a personal touch and fewer creative results. And I do enjoy creativity. I'm very big on that and very big on allowing people to think outside the box. So I think these skills need to be worked and utilized on by myself more so that I can be a more effective leader. The benefits of this in the workplace are going to be immeasurable. Building and developing other leaders and supporters that can maintain calmness, composure, and communication are core foundations in any workplace environment, whether you work in HR, whether you work in construction, whether you work in IT, whether you work in daycare, it doesn't matter. You still need calmness, composure, and communication, particularly if you work in daycare or pre K or with children. Um, allowing yourself or preparing someone or mentoring, allowing yourself and preparing someone that you're teaching can be challenging, but the rewards can be so immeasurable. The fact that you've taken someone and helped them accomplish a goal, there's no other feeling in the world like it. It's not that you've accomplished your goal, it's that this other person who you've helped is now going to have a sense of accomplishment in themselves. And they're going to take that and you now create a legacy of accomplishment. That is another thing transformational leaders do. They create a legacy of leaders and supporters. Many different types of leadership styles and many different types of support styles. No one person fits one mold. No one person is the same. And I say that as I actually have an identical twin sister. We look identical. We are what are called mirror image twins. My dimple's on the left, hers is on the right. Even though we're twins and mirror images, we are different in many ways. We have different styles. She is more outgoing. She has never had a problem speaking up. I've always been the shy one. So, no two people are alike, even if they look alike. And transformational leaderships are perfect for this type of role and is the role most suited for me.